What if I told you that the Apostle Peter validated Greek mythology, not as allegory, not as metaphor, but as actual historical truth? What if Zeus, the Titans, Prometheus, and the constellations in the night sky aren't just stories told around ancient fires, but distorted memories of real events? Events that the Bible itself confirms. Today, we're going to connect the dots that most people have never even considered. We're going to see how an ancient Greek word used exactly once in the New Testament, unlocks a truth so profound it changes everything we thought we knew about mythology, history, and the spiritual war that's been raging since before the flood. This is Cryptic Accounts, and today we're going to prove that Greek mythology was real. Welcome to Cryptic Accounts, a podcast by paranoid people for paranoid people. I'm Patrick Ryan, flying solo this week. Wanted to put an episode out. Me and Dennis's schedules haven't been lining up. He's working on other project. Dennis is fine. Everything's fine. And as a lot of you know, the show's been doing a lot more stuff on social media. Big welcome to all the new listeners, subscribers, downloaders. I see you guys. If you don't know, the show went a little bit viral on Instagram and TikTok and picked up a ton of new followers. Thank you so much. Welcome. I've seen the downloads go up dramatically on the audio side. If you could, head over to YouTube because we still need help there. They still hate us over there. And so I need you to go over there, subscribe, like, share, do all the things to help us get out of the algorithm jail that we've got going there. But social media and the audio downloads going great. Thank you so much. Welcome to everybody. I hope you're enjoying exploring the back catalog. But wanted to come on and do an episode because I just didn't feel like we could wait any longer. There's been a lot of other stuff that I've been working on for the show. As a lot of you know, crypticaccounts.com/community. The forum is starting to pick up. Please go there if you're looking for a place to discuss a lot of these things we talk about on the show and more. You can create threads. I've already created 180 some posts on there that can be discussed. Quality research like we do on the show here, but just in written form. So if you're into forums, 4chan, Reddit, stuff like that, that's the place to go where our community can be completely uncensored. So yeah, thank you so much. It's nice to finally see this start to grow and it feels really good. And that's all in part, that's thanks to you guys. Like, really, thank you. The amount of comments we've gotten over the years about like, how is this not bigger? And it's like, you guys, like, share it, please. Help this show grow, help it get bigger. And we really appreciate that. So with that being said, I've got some research. As a lot of you know, I've been going down a Nephilim fallen angel whole rabbit hole this year. And that's been actually, I've been putting a lot of time into that research. There's going to be a lot more coming in that. I've got a bigger project that I'm working on right now that's still very early on. But if you're into that kind of stuff, I think it's going to be something you're really into. So yeah, let's get into this week's episode of the Nephilim and Greek mythology.
This is Cryptic Accounts. By paranoid people, for paranoid people. Cryptic Accounts.
So let's jump right into this. If you listen to episode 89 of the show, Bloodlines of the Fallen, you already know the story. Genesis 6 tells us that the sons of God, which are fallen angels called the Watchers, descended to earth, took human wives, and then produced hybrid offspring referred to as the Nephilim, giants, mighty men of old, men of renown. Now, the Book of Enoch gives us the full account. 200 angels, led by Shemihaza and Azazel, descended on Mount Hermon. They swore an oath. They took human women. They taught forbidden knowledge, warfare, sorcery, astrology, metallurgy, and their children, the Nephilim, became a plague upon the earth, violent, cannibalistic, consuming everything in their path. The corruption became so great that God sent the flood to cleanse the earth. And the ringleaders, those 200 watchers who started it all, they didn't just get a slap on the wrist, they were imprisoned. Jude 6 tells us the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority but left their proper dwelling, he is kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. Now, that's just a chilling verse that adds so much validity to this. That's in the canon. Like, we all accept this biblically. I feel like a lot of Christians kind of brush past this and don't really think about it, where I spend tons of time thinking about. Like, all of this fascinates me so much. And it's something I think, whether you believe it or not, like, it's something you need to look into, because every culture talks about something like this. And we're going to get into that more and more, because it's definitely caught my attention, and I've been doing a lot of research on it, and probably going to put out a lot more content about this. But let's go even further, because Second Peter 2:4 is even more specific. It says, "For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into Tartarus, and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment." Now, there's a word there, Tartarus. Now, in episode 89, I mentioned that word. It's not just generic hell. In Greek mythology, Tartarus was the deepest, darkest abyss beneath Hades itself, a primordial void used as a prison for the most dangerous entities in existence, the Titans, enemies of the Olympian gods. It was a place of torment and confinement, as far below the earth as the heavens are above it. Now, when Peter uses that specific term, Tartarus, he's painting a picture of ultimate divine imprisonment for these fallen angels. The Watchers, who corrupted human flesh, are locked in the same prison the Greeks called Tartarus. But here's what I didn't fully explore in episode 89. Here's the question that's been haunting me ever since I dug deeper into this research. What if Peter wasn't using a Greek word his audience would understand? What if he was confirming that the Greek myths about Tartarus and the Titans were in fact true? Now let's look at this more carefully. 2 Peter 2:4, the Greek word Peter uses is tartaroo. It's a verb, to cast into Tartarus. And here's the kicker: this is the only time this word appears in the entire New Testament. Not hell, not Hades, not Gehenna, Tartarus specifically. Peter was writing to Hellenistic audiences, just for context here. Now, these people were steeped in Greek culture and mythology. They knew exactly what Tartarus was. It wasn't just any underworld, it was the prison, the place where the most powerful, most dangerous beings in Greek cosmology were locked away after they rebelled against the gods. Now, if Peter was just looking for a word his audience would understand, he could have used Hades or Gehenna. But he didn't. He chose Tartarus. Why? Because Tartarus is where the Titans were imprisoned. And the Titans, and we're gonna get into this, and I think you're gonna see this, because it opened my eyes as I got into all this. The Titans were in fact the Watchers. Let me say that again. The Greek Titans and the biblical Watchers are, I believe, the exact same beings. Different cultures, different names, same event. Peter wasn't using a metaphor, he was confirming historical truth. The Greeks preserved the memory of these fallen angels in their mythology, and Peter, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, validated it by using their exact term for the prison where these beings are being held. But it gets even better. The Book of Enoch, written centuries before Peter, explicitly names Tartarus as the prison of the Watchers. First Enoch chapter 20 verse 2, Uriel, one of the holy angels who is over the world and over Tartarus. Uriel, one of the archangels, is over Tartarus. So we have the Book of Enoch naming Tartarus. We have the Apostle Peter using the Greek word Tartarus. And we have Greek mythology describing Tartarus as the prison that the Titans are in, divine beings who rebelled and were cast down. This isn't coincidence. This is confirmation. The Greeks weren't making up stories. They were preserving a cultural memory of actual historic events, events that the Bible confirms, events that happened before the flood. So let's break down the parallels. Let's really get into this. In Greek mythology, the Titans were primordial divine beings. They were called the children of Uranus, heaven, and Gaia, which is earth. Divine beings from heaven who came to earth. Sound familiar? The Watchers were angels, divine beings from heaven, who descended to earth. Genesis 6 calls them the sons of God. The Book of Enoch names them Shemihaza, Azazel, Arachiel, Barachel. 200 angels who left their proper dwelling in the heaven and came to earth. The Titans, led by Cronus, rebelled against the authority of Uranus. They overthrew him. They ruled during what the Greeks called the Golden Age. But eventually, Zeus and the Olympian gods overthrew the Titans and cast them into Tartarus. The Watchers rebelled against God's authority. They left their proper dwelling, they corrupted humanity, and God judged them. He imprisoned them in Tartarus, the same place the Greeks said the Titans were imprisoned. Same story, different culture, same beings. The Titans were enormous, powerful, dangerous. The Nephilim, the offspring of the Watchers, were giants, mighty men, men of renown. The Greeks remembered them as the Titans. The Hebrews remembered them as the Nephilim. And here's the thing. The Greeks didn't just remember the Titans as a group, they remembered individual figures, specific beings with specific stories. And when you compare those stories to the Book of Enoch, the parallels, undeniable. So let's talk about Prometheus. In Greek mythology, Prometheus was a titan who defied Zeus. He stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. He taught humans how to use fire, how to work metal, how to build civilization. For this crime, Zeus punished him. He was chained to a rock in the Caucasus Mountains, where an eagle would come every day and eat his liver. Because Prometheus was immortal, his liver would regenerate every night, and the torture would begin again, eternal torment, bound to a rock for teaching forbidden knowledge to humanity. Now let's look at Azazel. First Enoch chapter 8 tells us that Azazel was one of the leaders of the Watchers. And what did Azazel teach humanity? And I quote, Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them. Azazel taught metallurgy. He taught humans how to work metal, how to make weapons, how to forge tools, the same knowledge Prometheus gave to humanity. And what was Azazel's punishment? First Enoch chapter 10, verse 4 through 6. And I quote, The Lord said to Raphael, Bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudal, and cast him therein. And place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see the light. Bound hand and foot, cast into darkness, covered with rough and jagged rocks, in the desert forever. Prometheus, bound to a rock, eternal torment for teaching forbidden knowledge. Azazel, bound in the desert, covered with jagged rocks, darkness forever for teaching forbidden knowledge. Same being, different culture, different name, same story. The Greeks remembered Azazel as Prometheus. The Hebrews remembered him by his true name, but both cultures preserved the memory of a divine being who taught humanity forbidden knowledge and was punished with eternal imprisonment. So let's take this one step further. Look at the night sky. Find the constellation Orion, the hunter, one of the most recognizable constellations in the sky. 3 stars in a row forming his belt, bright stars making his shoulders and feet. Every culture on Earth has a story about Orion. In Greek mythology, Orion was a giant, a mighty hunter. Some versions say he was the son of Poseidon, a god, and a mortal woman, a hybrid, half divine, half human. He was so powerful, so arrogant, that he boasted he could hunt and kill every animal on Earth. For his hubris, he was killed. Some say by a scorpion sent by the gods and placed in the sky as a constellation, suspended in the heavens forever as a warning. Now let's look at Shemihaza, also called Semjaza or Semyaza. He was the leader of the Watchers, the one who organized the whole rebellion. First Enoch chapter 6 tells us, And Semjaza, who was the leader, and said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan to do this thing. Shemihaza led the rebellion. He organized the 200 watchers. He was their chief. And what was his punishment? Now, there's a tradition preserved in some versions of the Book of Enoch and in Jewish mystical texts that Shemihaza was suspended between heaven and earth, not cast into Tartarus with the others, but hung in the sky as an eternal witness to his crime. Some traditions identify him with the constellation Orion. Orion, a giant, a hybrid, suspended in the sky forever. Shemihaza, the leader of the Watchers, suspended between heaven and earth, possibly identified with Orion. Same being, different culture, different name, same story. Every time you look up at the night sky and see Orion's belt, you might be looking at the leader of the Watchers, suspended there for eternity as a testimony to his rebellion. So, what does this mean? It means Greek mythology isn't actually mythology, it's history. It's distorted, yes, filtered through cultural lenses and centuries of oral tradition, absolutely. But at its core, it's a memory of real events. The Titans were real, they were the Watchers. Prometheus was real, he was Azazel. Orion was real, he was Shemihaza. Tartarus, real. It's the prison where the fallen angels are held, awaiting final judgment. And if Greek mythology preserves truth, what about the other mythologies? Norse mythology talks about the Jotnar, giants, enemies of God, who will break free at Ragnarok and wage war against Asgard. The word Jotnar literally means devourers, or gluttons. The Book of Enoch says the Nephilim devoured mankind. Same beings, different culture. Hindu mythology talks about the Asuras. Now, these divine beings who rebelled against the Devas, the gods, talk about the Rakshasa, flesh eating demons, shapeshifters, giants. Same beings, different culture. The Hopi talk about the Anu Simnam, the ant people, who took them underground during destruction of the third world, who took destruction of the third world by flood. The Hopi also called them Anunnaki, friends of ants. The Sumerians called them Anunnaki, those who from heaven came to earth. Same name, different beings, different continents. And if you want to hear more about the Hopi ant people, we did a whole episode on that. It's way back. That's a good one that really explores that whole thing. And then we've done stuff on Anunnaki. I'm blanking on which episodes. Just go back through them. You'll find them. Celtic mythology, Mesoamerican mythology, Chinese mythology, African mythology. Every culture on Earth has stories about giants, of divine beings who came from the sky, who taught forbidden knowledge, who bred with humans, who were judged, imprisoned, and destroyed. These aren't independent inventions. These aren't coincidences. These are cultural memories of the same event. An event that happened before the flood, an event that the Bible records in Genesis 6, an event that the Book of Enoch describes in detail, an event that every culture on earth remembers. The myths, they're not myths, they're memories. So, why does this matter, though? Why does it matter that Greek mythology is real? Why does it matter that the Titans were the Watchers? Because it means the spiritual war is real. It means the Bible is historically accurate. It means the fallen angels, real. It means the Nephilim were real. It means the flood was real. It means the demons that plague humanity, the disembodied spirits of the dead Nephilim, according to 1 Enoch chapter 15, they're real. It means the enemy is very real. The enemy has a history, a strategy, an agenda. It means we're living in the days Peter warned about. 2 Peter 3, verse 3. And I quote, scoffers will come in the last days saying, where is the promise of his coming? For ever since the fathers fell asleep, all things are continuing as they were from the beginning of creation. People scoff. They say the Bible is a myth. They say the flood never happened. They say giants never existed. They say it's all allegory, it's all metaphor, all ancient superstition. But Peter knew better. Peter used the word Tartarus. Peter confirmed that the Greek myths were memories of real events. Peter knew that the Watchers were imprisoned in Tartarus. Peter knew that the Titans and the Watchers were the same beings. And Peter warned us. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 5. God did not spare the ancient world, but preserved Noah, a herald of righteousness, with 7 others, when he brought a flood upon the world of the ungodly. The flood was real. The judgment was real. And Jesus himself said in Matthew 24:37, "As were the days of Noah, so will it be so will it be so will be the coming of the Son of Man." The days of Noah, when the watchers descended, when the Nephilim walked the earth, when the genetic corruption and violence filled the world, when God judged with a flood. Jesus said those days are coming back. And if you've been paying attention, if you've been watching the UFO phenomenon, the alien abduction accounts, the transhumanist agenda, the push to merge humanity with technology, to edit our genes, to upgrade ourselves, you know we're already there. The Watchers are still in prison in Tartarus, but their agenda hasn't stopped. The demons, the spirits of the dead Nephilim, still active. The deception is still unfolding, and the final act is approaching. Greek mythology was real. The Titans were the Watchers. Prometheus was Azazel. Orion was Shemihaza. Tartarus is the prison where the fallen angels are held. The Apostle Peter confirmed it. The Book of Enoch confirmed it. And every culture on earth preserved the memory. The myths aren't myths. They're memories, distorted by time and culture, but memories nonetheless. Memories of a war that started in heaven, came to earth, corrupted humanity, and brought judgment in the form of a flood. A war that never ended. A war that's still raging. A war that, I believe, is entering its final phase. But here's the good news. The same God who judged the Watchers, who imprisoned them in Tartarus, who sent the flood to cleanse the earth, that same God sent his Son to redeem humanity. Jesus Christ came to destroy the work of the devil. 1 John 3:8, he came to crush the serpent's head. Genesis 3:15, he came to disarm the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame. Colossians 2:15. So the Watchers are bound. The Titans are imprisoned, and their final judgment is coming. Revelation 20, verse 10, and the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. The enemy's fate is sealed. The victory already won. And we, those who are in Christ, are on the winning side. So the next time you hear someone dismiss the Bible as mythology, remember this. The myths aren't myths. The Greeks knew it. Peter knew it. And now you know it. Greek mythology was real, and the God who imprisoned the Titans in Tartarus is the same God who will judge the world in righteousness and establish his kingdom forever. The question is, are you ready? So that's it. This has been Cryptic Accounts. I'm Patrick Ryan. If this episode blew your mind, share it. Tell someone, because the truth is stranger than fiction, and the world needs to know. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember, the myths aren't myths, they're memories.